Hello, everybody. I'm Jane, and I'm the Managing Director of Catapult PR. Now, today I'm going to be talking about heritage marketing, something which is quite close to my heart because I've done so much of it over the years. And I want really anybody that is in a heritage attraction or a museum or a stately home and garden that's listening to this right now to actually consider something. And that is your marketing actually working for you? And are the tactics that you're using with your marketing actually the right ones? Now, I'm not trying to criticize anybody here because I know through all the years of experience I've had with heritage marketing that actually it's very, very difficult for most heritage attractions to handle the marketing alongside everything else that they're doing with the ticketing and the toilet arrangements and everything else. But it is really important that they stop wasting money and they stop wasting energy on things that are not actually producing footfall or driving visitor numbers. Because it isn't, the way it is that, we should see declining footfall. We can actually see big lifts in visitor numbers if we get the tactics right. So what I would say is, although I'm not trying to criticize, I do think there are some deadly sins that most heritage attractions fall into. Number one of those deadly sins is over-reliance on the visitor leaflet. And number two of the deadly sins, I would say, is spending money on very, very expensive advertising that isn't actually producing any return on the investment that's being placed into it because people are simply not responding to adverts these days, and it's not the tactic that's going to bring them to your door. So why, you ask, is a visitor leaflet such a deadly sin? Well, here at Catapult PR, we've commissioned our own research to find out what the heritage visitor wants from a heritage attraction. And we also ask them, how do they actually decide which heritage attractions they want to visit? And this may amaze you, but only 6% of people say that they use a visitor leaflet when deciding where to visit. Similarly, it may surprise you, especially if you're spending a lot of time and energy on social media, that only 8% of people say that they use social media when deciding which heritage attractions to visit. So, what are they doing instead? Well, in 48% of cases, that's nearly half of your potential visitors, they are heading to a website to decide, and specifically to your website. But that, of course, is if they can find it. So that means two things, doesn't it? A, they need to be able to find your website, and B, you need to be absolutely sure that when they do find your website, the information that's on it is information that they are going to want to read about, that is going to be compelling for them, and that they will want to make a visit having read it, and will actually build the trust in you as a venue to the extent that they are prepared to then go to buy their online ticket or actually head to your door and go through the gate. So what you need is really, really strong website content. But you need to be thinking beyond that, because what you also need are blogs and content articles that are going to sit in some sort of news area on your website and be delivered in a continuous stream, so that what you're doing is continuously feeding the search engines with fresh new content that it can actually analyze and push you ideally up the rankings so that you are found by more visitors than you would be if you just leave that website dormant and do nothing with it. But, website, you might think, well, search engines, what do I care about those? Let me put another point to you. And this has also come through our own research. We have discovered that actually people want value for money as a really, really big requirement of a visit, not just to a heritage attraction, but to any visitor attraction. And I will say to you right now that value for money for these people starts before they ever step foot inside your attraction. And that is because they are building this impression of you and this trust with you from that website visit. And they need to get from that website visit the information that is going to give them as much satisfaction as possible when they actually arrive at your door. And to do that, you need to be educating them into all the things that are the best things to do at your visitor attraction, your heritage attraction. So, what is it that they need to see when they get there? What are the most important gems that you have got? What are the biggest stories that they need to appreciate? What must they absolutely not miss when they get there? Because unless you do that, and unless you tell them those things up front, they could get to you and go around in 30 minutes and then moan about the fact that they went around and saw very little and don't realize why they paid their really high, no doubt, admission price. And that will all be posted on TripAdvisor. So you need to start building that value ahead of the visit through the content that you are putting on your website. And I would go so far as to say that you need to be doing what we do for our clients, and that is thinking beyond just that content area and that news article area, and actually thinking about added value downloads that they can take from your website and use to enrich their visit when they arrive. So, do you think that's crazy? Well, let me put this to you. We have become a nation that places great store, I would say, in a bucket list or a bucket list type exercise of experiences that we want to see and do. Because we believe that in having that experience, we have added value to our life in some way. And so, if you tell people about something extraordinary or different or unusual that you have at your attraction, and they then go and see it, you fulfill that experience ticking off in their mindset. And that comes with the satisfaction that then feeds back into those TripAdvisor reviews, but also feeds back into friends and family recommendation that we know through our research is a really important factor in deciding where to visit. So think about that bucket list approach to your attraction and think about how you are going to allow those visitors to experience what you know exists, but they might not know exists and which they could very easily walk past without ever appreciating. But today's added value, I believe, is also something to do with our society and the way that we have become spoon-fed to a very great degree by search engines in many instances. So that if we want to know something now, we just ask a question of Google and Google comes back with the answer. We don't do a lot of thinking ourselves about things. So you may have, for instance, a beautiful area in which to picnic at your attraction. But do people know how to picnic necessarily? Do they know what to put in the picnic box? And do they know when they get there where the best place to picnic actually is at your attraction? So you need to be giving them all of this type of information through your website. And you can go further than that. You can tell them where they can pick up sycamore leaves so the children can play with them, where they can find conkers, where there might be a nature trail, what are the best things to eat on the menu and why? What things come into season at what time? What flowers are in the garden? Interpret those, tell them about them, because you probably don't want to be sticking labels on plants all around the garden. But there will be people who want to know those things. And if they can find that information online, then you are fueling their satisfaction with that visit in this really compelling and enriching way. So that will help you with your customer satisfaction, with your recommendations, and also with the dwell time of visitors at your attraction. And with dwell time often comes more spend, as we all know, because somebody who is happy with their visit is far more likely to want to spend something in the gift shop that actually acts as a memento of that visit, aren't they? So your tactics should be based around content, 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 and really looking at your website. But I would also say that it also needs to be based on looking at how you can generate media exposure. And that's for two purposes, really. Firstly, because it gives one of your visitors an idea that you have had the third party endorsement of a journalist, because they've written about you in the media and you haven't paid for that space, and it looks like the journalist actually is recommending you. And that is so valuable. And B, what you will find nowadays is that you will often get a digital website link back to your website. So, what we call a backlink from that media article. And that will usually be a very, very valuable backlink, one that you could not buy. And in that case, if Google sees that, it will boost your website rankings. So, it's kind of a virtuous circle. But there's even better news, because if you are using PR, what you have is ready-made material which can be repurposed and used as the content on your blog or news article. So you're killing two birds with one stone. You can take your PR material and you can reuse it in a slightly different format and put it on your website. So, you have this really great value for money from your PR spend, because it also becomes this valuable content that, as we have seen, your visitors want to access and use as the basis of their visit or decision to visit. If you don't think that PR is valuable, I would suggest that you go to our case studies section on our website and look at the case study of Levens Hall and Gardens. And there you will see just how much exposure we have generated for that client. The case study just refers to 1 year, but we've been doing this since 2020. And we've actually won 10 awards now for the PR and the content campaigns that we've put together year after year. And that has had its spin-off in terms of footfall, in terms of media exposure, in terms of international exposure. If you are using PR and you aren't getting that sort of benefit from it, then maybe you haven't got the right PR. Because what you need to have is ideas-led PR that's creative, that is continuously coming up with angles for the media, that isn't just reliant on you having some event, that isn't, let me say, the classic car press release. You're having a rally in the attraction and you're sending out a press release about that, and that is your PR. Well, unfortunately, that isn't your PR. That isn't going to compel anybody other than a classic car enthusiast to come along to that rally. You need to be getting PR material that is broader based and niche at the same time in many cases, but is really talking to a lot of people who you can bring in and boost your footfall, because you've actually spoken to them and engaged to them through your PR materials. If that isn't what's happening with your PR, then change it and get some PR that will do that job for you. So my takeout for you here is, ahead of the next season, because I'm talking now in November 2024, 2025 season for many heritage attractions will probably start in the springtime. You have chance to actually examine your tactics and decide whether these tactics are serving you well or not, and whether you need to change them for marketing tactics that are actually not only going to serve you better, but be aligned with how the visitor wants you to be behaving when you are approaching them through your marketing. If you can do that, you should have a much, much better season than you have perhaps had in recent years. Now, if you need any help with that, you can just talk to me for no obligation. We can have a chat about your marketing, and you can call me, or you can email jane@catapultpr.co.uk. But what I would also ask you to do is go and actually download the research that I've referred to, because then you will understand more things about what the visitor is thinking, not just what we've talked about today. So head to our download section, which is in the About Us section at catapultpr.co.uk. Download that, have a read, and then really, as I say at the start, question whether you have got your marketing tactics right for your heritage visitor attraction. Now, I'll be bringing you another video shortly, so please do subscribe to our video channel. But in the meantime, as I always say on my Poodling Around podcast, take very good care of yourself, whether you are in Malibu or in Morecambe.